from Cottesloe, Western Australia.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
From the Siena province, near Montalcino, welcome to the GCN Show.
Velocity Cycling Club from Accra, Ghana. Welcome to the GCN Show!
Welcome to the GCN Show. This week we are talking bike race celebration fails. Maybe mistakes is a nicer way to put it. We round up an event called Giro DItalia and we have the results from the Amgen Women's Tour of California. Tech of the week is a very exciting announcement from Campagnolo. We've got hack, board/bodge and all of your usual favourites. Is it just me again, John?
Just you, Tom.
Let's go. Luka Pivanik of Bahrain Merida really genuinely thought that he'd won stage 5 of this year's Giro d'Italia. You only need to look at the photos to see that. But the fact is, he actually hadn't, because he celebrated one lap too early, an incident that his Bahrain Merida team later put down to a slight race radio malfunction. Now, like him or not, bike race celebration fails, and I'm talking things like celebrating second place, celebrating way too early, celebrating quite late but still losing the win, are pretty funny. And I do come at this from a point of empathy too. I have been there. This is me, almost 10 years ago. I did have hair, you can see it. Look quite young. I think Simon Richardson's back here. This is Richardson. Laughing. This guy's laughing. This is a particularly generous crop because the guy who won the race is about here. Didn't feel good at the time, but after a few weeks, you don't really have any choice but to see the funny side. So here are a few of our absolute favourites. Czech rider Adam Tuplik's exuberant celebrations with one lap to go at the 2016 World Cyclocross Championships in Zolder, Belgium, is possibly one of my favourites of all time. In part because I was there to see it, and different to the previous incident, I wasn't actually taking part in it, but also just because Tuplik was so strong. He almost had a race-winning gap as he went through the line, except he celebrated, which meant his race-winning gap dissolved, but then he came back and he got so close to the win again. And possibly even better than that for me, we've got footage of Matt and Cy there trying just to process exactly what was happening, and they got pretty excited.
Sprinting, the Belgians, they're sprinting on the hoods, that's a fatal flaw, but the Belgians going round the Czech. Can the Czech take the title? What incredible scenes here in Zolder. The Belgian wins, punches the air with delight.
My word.
Second place to the previous winner on the last lap, Simon Richardson. I've never seen anything like it.
Shown by his victory on stage 7 at this year's Giro, Caleb Ewan is one of the most promising sprinters in the pro peloton. The scary thing about Ewan is that he's just 22 years old and he's already won so many big races. But back at the Abu Dhabi Tour this year, there was a big race that he didn't quite win, although he thought he had. He celebrated early and Marcel Kittel managed to sneak underneath his arm. Kittel's quite tall, that must have been quite difficult to dip that low.
Well, at least he realised he'd lost a little sooner than the other two.
True. The other two so far, there are some more cracking ones coming up. Now this one got quite a bit of coverage at the start of the year, and to be honest, it's probably not, strictly speaking, a fail. Arlenis Sierra is a Cuban pro cyclist for the Astana Women's Pro Team. She's had some really strong results in North and South America, but at the Trofeo Alfredo Binda this year, she got one of her breakthrough European results when she took second on the stage. It was one of Corinne Rivera's first big wins in Europe as well. She looks very happy, but I think Sierra might look even happier. So, while it's not strictly a fail, it did confuse a few people, but when the story came out that she was just celebrating second place, I think everyone thought it was really nice. Most of the finish line celebration confusions, fails that we've talked about so far have been pretty recent. But for this one, we're going to go back almost 10 years to 2008 and the Schelde race, the traditional midweek race between the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix. Tom Bonen had won this race in 2004 and in 2006, and in 2008, he was dead set for the win until he eased up, sat up and celebrated. At that point, a very, very young Mark Cavendish came under his arm and took the victory. This photo says it all. the awkward look of panic on Bonen's face, the even more awkward reach back down to the handlebars to try and rescue the situation. But then, if you glance to Bonen's left slightly, you can see the look on Cavendish's face, which tells you there's nothing that Bonen can do that can rescue this one. However, he did take it in pretty good spirits if the podium photos are anything to go by, but he never won the Scheldeprijs again in his career. Which brings us back to 2017, the Giro and Luca Pibnik. The fact is that these things happen. They are, after all, basically just honest mistakes. But I reckon that if the riders had just gone and simply, although probably not simply won those races, we wouldn't still be talking about them quite as much as we do now. Now, I want to hear from you. What is your favourite bike race epic celebration? Error, fail, mistake? Let us know down in the comments. I'm sure we've missed a few really, possibly quite funny ones. And if you've got footage of one of your mates doing something like that, message us on Facebook and we'll see what we can do. Stage 4 of the Giro was set to be the first big day for a GC shake-up, but the finish wasn't quite as explosive as many had hoped, as there was a bit of a headwind, and in fairness, the 4th stage of a 3-week race is pretty early for there to be a lot of attacking, a big shake-up between the overall contenders. The stage winner was Jan Palank, who went the distance having been in the day-long break. He actually that's his second Giro d'Italia stage win taken in that manner. The best of the favourites was Ilnur Zakarin, who attacked the group late on. He had around 10 seconds on a big group of all the other favourites. On a side note, stage 4 was dramatic for Katusha Alpecin as Alberto Lasada crashed, but didn't crash out, as team osteopath Hans Friedel was able to pop his shoulder back in, which meant he continued with the stage and with the race. Stage 5 of the Giro finished in Messina, which is Vincenzo Nibali's hometown, hence his nickname the Shark of Messina, but it wasn't particularly terrain for Nibali, although his teammate Luca Pibnik had a good go, except he celebrated a bit early. The stage eventually came down to a sprint, which was won by Fernando Gaviria, with Bob Jungels holding on to the Maglia Rosa. The finish of stage 6 of the Giro d'Italia in Terme Luigiani had a really nasty little kick on it. It's the kind of like technical but steep town centre climb that is pretty unique to the Giro. The day-long break again looked like it was pretty much going to go the distance on this one, provided they didn't mess around too much or blow up on that final climb. They held on, and Sylvain Dillier of BMC went for a long sprint and just held off Jasper Stuyven of Trek Segafredo. Stage 7 was slightly less difficult than stage 6, so it was another one for the sprinters, and it was Caleb Ewan who finally got his first Giro d'Italia stage win of this year nailed. He's been waiting a while for that, hasn't he?
He certainly looks like he's turning into the real deal now.
Yeah, he's one of the fastest sprinters in the race, but he just kept having disasters. No more, maybe. Similar to stage 6, stage 8 had one of those technical, steep, town centre hill climb finishes. A day-long break again had gone the distance and they hit the bottom of the climb altogether until, however, Valerio Conti overcooked it through one of the corners and crashed. Did quite a funny yoga pose actually. Luckily, Valerio is fine, leaving the break to fight it out between them. Gorka Izagiri, whose brother Jon won a stage of the Tour last year, soloed away and took the stage victory. After stage 4 to Etna wasn't the most exciting stage perhaps for spectators, stage 9 was definitely going to be it. It was later in the race and it was on a steeper climb. The blockhouse doesn't sound like a particularly Italian climb, but if you look at the map, there it is right in the middle of the country. This climb is a real brute with sustained pitches of around 10%. However, the real drama didn't happen on the climb so much as right before it. A police motorbike was positioned on the side of the road and the peloton just couldn't avoid it. Wilco Kelderman of Giant Sunweb was the first rider to go down, and almost all of Team Sky went down too. The big losers were Sky, with Geraint Thomas now 5 minutes out of contention on the overall, and also Adam Yates of Orica, who is over 4.5 minutes down. While those riders and teams recovered, tried to take stock and chase back on, the race went on up ahead, and it was Nairo Quintana who took the victory at the summit of the blockhouse, followed not too far behind, around 20 seconds, by Thibaut Pinot, who outsprinted a very strong Tom Dumoulin. Dumoulin, however, will be reeling from the loss of Kelderman, who is set to be one of his key mountain lieutenants for the race. Now for me, there's only really one debate to come out of this incident, and that is, should the riders have paused the race and allowed the favourites who'd crashed to get back on? And from what I've read and what I've heard, it sounds as though it would have been very difficult because the race was so close to the foot of the climb and so close to the finish. Where there isn't any debate, however, is race vehicles. Following a couple of tragic incidents last year, we know that race organisers are doing everything they can to decrease the number of vehicles in the race, but also to increase the education levels around bike racing of those driving them. So hopefully these are situations that we're just not going to see ever happen again. Caption of the week now. And last week's photo was this one of Fernando Gaviria celebrating victory at the Giro d'Italia, and there were some seriously good entries for this. The popular choice, but not the winner, was Swedish house FIFA, who said Dan Lloyd after 2 mineral waters. That got 107 thumbs up. A very close second for me was this one from Michael Rippens, who said, unfortunately the Maglia Rosé, get it, went straight to his head. But the winner, and a very thoroughly deserved winner, is from Road Rider, who said, this makes the caffeine shampoo look a bit down market. Congratulations, Road Rider. You have, of course, won a GCN Camelback bottle, and we'll be in touch. This week's photo, and don't forget, if you leave your caption down in the comments and we pick it as the winner, you can win a GCN Camelback bottle, is this one of Valerio Conti. Now I'm going to get you started. Valerio Conti's yoga break.
That's solid.
Is it better than last week?
Yeah, definitely better than last week.
Almost anything's better than last week. But. Shimano and SRAM have had road bike disc brake group sets out for quite a while now, and this was, if not an easy move for the two brands, perhaps a natural one, as both of them have pretty extensive mountain bike ranges. This just left Campagnolo teams in the World Tour without a fully fledged disc brake group set. And there have been spy shots and the odd kind of rumour here and there, but finally we have an announcement. Campagnolo's latest, their brand new group set, is disc brake specific, and it's called the H11. They worked with German hydraulics experts who make the bright yellow trials brakes that you might remember seeing, Magura, to develop the group set. Rotor sizes are 160mm for the front rotor, and at the rear you can choose between 160mm and 140mm. It's also available for the EPS, so their electronic shifting options, or the mechanical shifting options. And I think, this is quite nerdy, but possibly for me one of the more interesting points that I read in their release was that as part of this group set, it is a fully specific group set because they've actually worked on things like the chain set too. So the chain set from the Campagnolo H11 is a disc brake specific chain set. And that is because they say their engineers looked at it and they took into consideration geometry and spacing of disc brake frames versus rim brake frames and found that they were so different that they warranted a different chain set solution, which the geometry is different, so it could make sense. What's your take? I'd like to hear it down in the comments.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
First up in cycling shorts, how about speed cameras for cyclists? Barry Sheridan on Facebook made us aware of this one, and it is that police in Mont in Belgium, so the very heart of cycling country there, have set up infrared cameras which can be disguised as wheelie bins and used throughout the town centre. So they're designed to catch speeding cyclists, speeding kind of motorbike or scooter users, and speeding motorists too. And the police did say that the speeding cyclist factor is actually an issue and that they will potentially be handing fines out. Personally, John, I reckon this is a pretty good thing. I think you should behave as other road users do in town centres.
Well, exactly. The speed limit's for everyone, so it's just making everyone safe, isn't it?
For sure. Anyway, moving on from that. Staying with road users not exactly obeying the rules of the road, it can't have escaped many cycling fans' attention that last week Chris Froome was involved in a hit and run with a vehicle. Luckily, and we were very pleased to read that Chris is fine, although his bike was of course absolutely totaled. But it is always incredibly grim to read this news. Stay safe out there. There was a really big crash at the 4 days of Dunkirk, and sadly the ever popular Stein Vandenberg was really seriously injured in this one with serious concussion. He was taken to intensive care at hospital in Belgium. From what we're hearing though, the signs are that he is making positive steps and that he will make a recovery. One of the nicest bits of cycling news I've read this year was this story about Stig Brooks. You may remember that Stig suffered terrible injuries at the Tour of Belgium last year, and following that he spent several months in a vegetative state. The prognosis was obviously not very good, but Stig has now recovered to the point where he's able to ride a static bike, with apparently his father having to tell him to slow down. This is obviously just fantastic news, really, really heartwarming, and from all of us here at GCN, we'd like to wish Stig and his family all the best for his ongoing miraculous recovery. If you're a certain age and from the UK or Europe, you might remember collecting Panini stickers for your chosen sport, which is probably football or soccer at the time. But for this year's Giro d'Italia, and this is very, very exciting, they have brought out Panini stickers for the Giro. We don't actually have our hands on our very own set just yet. This is a borrowed set, unfortunately. But when we do, I think it's safe to say that we're going to waste a lot of time with them. Much like George Pradle is doing in Tom Dumoulin's tweet before one of the stages of this year's race. No Quintana either. Quintana must be pretty rare, actually. Amanda Coker has broken the record for the greatest distance cycled in 1 year by anyone ever, so male or female. Actually, she broke the record with around 40 days to go, but she continued on and rode a further 10,000 miles. There are some seriously impressive stats here. I definitely can't remember them all, so I'm going to grab my laptop. Total miles, 86,573 miles, which translates into 139,325 kilometres. giving an average daily miles over the 365 days of 237.19 miles, roughly 381 kilometres. An average moving speed, and this is incredible as well, 20.30 miles per hour, about 32 k's an hour, and a riding time over the 365 days of 4,264 hours. Apparently
around 48% of her time was spent riding her bike during the whole year.
48%? So almost 12 hours a day?
Yeah.
Most of us are lucky to do 12 a week, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Competition time now. And for the last couple of weeks, we've been running a competition where there wasn't just going to be one winner. Oh no, there were going to be two very, very lucky winners of a Canyon Women's specific bike. Now, the winners are Rosie Lines from the UK and Lizelle Gilfillan from South Africa. Congrats, guys. We'll be in touch about getting your wonderful prizes sent out to you. It's one of my favourite parts of the show each week. I find them hilarious, I find them inspirational. It is time for hack / Matt bodge of the week. Let's go. First up, we have got this one, which was sent in by Steve Marsden on Twitter. And he says, what does he say? He said, made my wife a mesh cloche to keep the birds off the allotment, so off the veg that he's growing, using a pair of old rigid tyres. So that's very that is a hack. And then next one, there's a rule in the Dirt Shed show where, made by our friends at GMBN, where if you have a dog in your bike vault picture, it's a super nice. So based on that, I think that this picture that Paul D sent in of his very cute looking Walter the Whippet helping him with bar tape removal is a stone cold hack, solid hack. That's very cool.
You know what would be better, Tom, if the Whippet was called Wouter, then it would be Wouter Whippet.
Like the pro.
A tenuous dog pun.
John, when John edits, he makes us look less funny by putting in tumbleweed sound effects. He won't do that for his own joke. Next up is this one from Connors Vasilou, hashtag GCN hack. John, if I describe it to you, you can make the judgment on this. You ready? So it's a single pivot road brake. Mm-hmm. There's one remaining metal pivot. The other pivot is made from what looks like very thin plywood. And they've still managed to attach the brake lever to it. Hack or bodge?
I call that a bodge due to the...
How serious a bodge would you call it?
That's quite a catastrophic bodge. You don't want that failing on you.
No, it's bad. You'll sit, it's not good. Connors, bodge. Don't ride it. Bad bodge.
Stop that.
Stop it. Exactly. Okay, Steve Manning sent this one in, which says, at GCN tweet, when your shoe fails while out on your cyclocross ride, hashtag spare tyre, hashtag GCN bodge, who's good enough to do that at least, hashtag GCN hack. Now, Steve, I'd say that in this situation, although that is a bodge, it possibly qualifies as a hack because I guess it got you home. But you are right to say it's a bodge. So it's a bodge. Moving on from that, Benjamin Allen sent in this one on Facebook. And this one, again, John, I'm going to describe it to you, and it has to be seen to be believed. So if you imagine a pedal attached to a crank, where the pedal hole in the crank is a little too big for the pedal axle. So to make sure that the pedal stays in the crank, you've gone and you've drilled in from each side and from the top, and then screwed some screws in to attach the pedal to the crank that way, instead of screwing the pedal into the crank.
That's pretty bodge-worthy by the sounds of things.
Yeah, there's more than one bodge going on there.
I haven't seen it, but I can't imagine it looks too good either.
Anyway, thank you for all your GCN hacks and bodges sent in on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. We do, if you couldn't tell, spend a lot of time looking at them and really enjoy looking at them. If you'd like to nominate your hack, your bodge, your mate's hack, your mate's bodge, a bodge that you see in the street for it, use the hashtag GCN hack. And we'll spend loads of time talking about them. Stage 1 of the Women's Tour of California saw a strong Bowles-Dolman's team take control on the finishing climb in Lake Tahoe. Anna van der Breggen set up teammate Megan Guarnier for her first win of the 2017 season. A decisive Stage 2, which included the climb of Daggett Summit, suited UHC's Katie Hall down to a T. She managed to climb clear of Anna van der Breggen to take the stage win and the overall lead with it. Stages 3 and 4 were in contrast to stages 1 and 2, and they both finished in bunch sprints, with Georgia Bronzini and Cora Navira taking a stage win apiece. There were some time bonuses up for grabs on these stages, and they saw Anna van der Breggen claw the overall lead back from Hall and take victory there by just 1 second. At the time of shooting, we've seen one stage of the Amgen Tour of California, and it was a fascinating sprint battle on the stage that ran from Sacramento and finished back in Sacramento in front of the state capitol, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger's old house. Marcel Kittel won the stage, Peter Sagan was second, and Elia Viviani of Team Sky was third. It's time now for GCN's wattage bazooka. I just can't do it. I'm going to get my laptop for this one because we've got some stats. So the pro wattage bazooka, which I'm going to start with, was Fernando Gaviria, who won stage 5 of the Giro DItalia. The time for his finishing sprint was 18 seconds. Speed, average, 65 kilometers an hour with a maximum speed of 67.8 kilometers an hour. His average power for 18 seconds was 934 watts, with his peak power 1339 watts. Impressive stuff. Fernando, if you would like your wattage bazooka t-shirt, get in touch. It's time now for our amateur wattage bazooka, and it goes to Skratzenstein on Twitter, who's made Okaplone nominated them also on Twitter using the hashtag wattage bazooka on screen now for Everesting through rain, hail, thunder and lightning. You can't say fairer than that. Good work. Comment of the week, and we had a lot of love in the comments underneath the video that Cy did with Sean Conway about bike packing. One of my favourite ones was from GT Kim, who said, cut toothbrush into half to save a few grams, then brings a liquor flask. Love this guy, and 87 of you loved him too. I think that's pretty cool. Next one was from Dingo F, who says, has aero wheels, but beard size of a parachute. Again, 381 thumbs up. But if I fast forward to my favourite response to that comment, it was from Tel Kanuru, who said, wizards don't have to worry about drag. I really liked it. I loved the video with Sean Conway. You should definitely check it out. We'll link it up down in the description. And hopefully we'll be doing some more videos with Sean very soon. There were some more comments I wanted to pull out though. This one was underneath the coffee video that we filmed at the Giro d'Italia. It's from Yo Wart. It said, I was eating in a restaurant last week and someone on the table next to me ordered a cappuccino and it was 8 p.m. So I judged them. I think any Italian would, probably.
No cappuccino afternoon, okay?
On the channel this week, on Wednesday, it's how to make sportives more enjoyable and how to lose weight like a pro. On Thursday, it's the 10 most beautiful roads in the world. On Friday, of course, it's Ask GCN Anything. Don't forget to get your questions in using the hashtag TalkBack on social media. On Saturday, it's Mikel Landa's Pro Bike from the Giro d'Italia. On Sunday, we've got a feature on the way from our guys who are over filming in Italy right now. On Monday, it's Maintenance Monday. And on Tuesday, it's the GCN Show.
From Akuna Bay, Sydney, Australia. Welcome to the GCN Show.
Don't forget that throughout the week as well, on top of all of that, we will have a load of content from the Giro d'Italia each and every day. It's time now for, and this is one that I can do, unlike Wattage Bazooka, Extreme Corner. And this week we've got some footage from Crankworx Rotorua, which took place back in April, but this is super extreme because the caption mentions a few tricks that I just haven't got a clue what they look like, but I think we're about to find out. Yep, that wasn't just pretty extreme. I still don't know what any of those tricks are called. Before you go, we're almost at the end of the show, but we've got some very cool new things in the GCN shop that I thought I'd tell you about. First up, just during May, we've got a limited edition pink logo GCN t-shirt. We've got a limited edition pink logo GCN sweatshirt, as modelled by yours truly. And also, we've got a limited edition pink GCN hoodie, not modelled by yours truly. All of those items are on organic cotton and printed using water-based inks. Plus, we've got GCN pint glasses and GCN tankards, if you'd like a drink. Thirsty work, this.
All right, Tom.
Thanks, John.
I've got you a drink and a pizza, mate. You're looking hungry and thirsty.
Thanks. What am I going to do with these, though, John? I can't even open it.
Yeah. 1 second.
We've got the GCN Park Tool bottle openers, also available in shop. Thanks, John.
There you are.
Just checking that doesn't overflow.
Got yourself a slice.
You can have a slice as well, John.
That looks really nice.
It's not been sat there for too long, has it? There we go, that's it for the GCN show. If you've enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and share it with your mates too. To subscribe to the channel, just click on our logo, which is on screen right now. And to visit the shop and get all of these great items, there's a link to the shop on screen too. I'm going to point you to a couple of videos. Number 1 is our bike packing special with Sean Conway, which is right here. And number 2 is what is a puncheur? one of our new style of videos, and it's not a puncher, it's right there.